Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this pre-Halloween day. Nope, I'm not wearing a mask. It's just me. But what? Please welcome in Dustin Dopirak from Indy Sports, from the Indy Star, of course. I said Indy Sports. I meant sports from the Indy Star. Pacers beat writer amongst sports extraordinaire. Of everything. Whoa. Exactly. Yes, I didn't even ask that question, but I was thinking that, Maxine. That is, I forgot to give Maxine her due. Maxine also with us. Did she cover the Pacers?
She did not. She was on patrol in Parker Avenue, making sure everybody was on their P's and Q's and abiding by the rules of Maxine on this street. So what she's currently doing now, and somebody apparently outside is not doing that. So she's mad.
Aaron Nesmith has 26 points for the Pacers. They have a 125-113 win over the Donovan Mitchell less Cavaliers, but a win is a win. And Pacers putting up points and getting wins to start the year. They lead the division, although it's early, 2-0.
Extremely early.
They got a 2-game win streak. I'm looking for all the positives, man. Looking for all the positives.
It's a good start. I mean, you can't be upset at the start. Obviously, the Cavs were missing Mitchell and Darius Garland and Jared Allen, and so that's an issue. Now they fell behind. Pacers fell behind 15-3. Karis LeVert scored 19 points in 7 minutes to get started. Former Karis LeVert. So they had to figure out how to defend. Of interest, finding out they knew this already, obviously, but I mean, one of I think their most interesting conundrums is they have, I think, a really good defensive five and a really good offensive five, and those guys are totally different. Basically, if you were to say who's your best 5 offensive players, and who's your best 5 defensive players, the only guy who would be on both lists would be Miles Turner. So it makes for a bit of a conundrum in figuring out lineups. I think the starting lineup is really, really good offensively, not so good defensively. And the second unit is kind of the reverse, but Nesmith's 26 is of note because I think you're seeing some scoring punch out of that second unit, and it's guys that can defend. They played TJ McConnell a bunch, which was of note because Rick Carlisle apparently decided to have a big sort of emotional conversation with McConnell to tell him that he wasn't going to be on the rotation in the opener, and apparently sounds like it's going to be kind of 50-50 if when he's in the rotation. It's going to be depending on matchups, depending on style of play, game, situation and whatnot, how much he's going to play. McConnell came in and really made a difference. Second unit was just really, really good, did a really good job of guarding people, and slowing LeVert down, slowing everybody down. They went from giving up 39 points in the first quarter to 12 in the second, largely just defined by that second unit. So it was a very telling game on Saturday night. Also, Tyrese Halliburton hit 3 threes in a minute in the fourth quarter to put the game away, got into it with a fan who apparently didn't like the fact that he was talking to a ref. Tyrese always talks to refs, so if that's going to bother you, you can't watch Tyrese. But he was sitting by him, apparently said something to Tyrese, and he was like, all right, well, he told him to stop whining, and it's like, Tyrese is like, this is my job, man. I talk to refs. That's part of my job. Like, I find out why a call was made. So, you know what? I'm just going to mess with you. So he hit a back-to-back threes after that and then pointed at him and said, this is your fault. You did this, which was funny. The camera caught him, so he turned around and goes, "This is your fault. You did this."
Oh, that's great.
And so that was kind of hilarious. He ended up with 21 and 13, had a really slow start, but yeah, good start for them. Obviously, again, scheduling helps. Be able to go to Cleveland, not have to play Donovan Mitchell. That makes a huge difference. They get a Bulls team tonight that it's apparently a wreck, even though they lost by 16 the other night when Zach LaVine had 51. So I mean, it's going to be a test because it's the first time they're dealing with two guys that I would consider, all-star caliber players, and DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine have to figure out how to guard two of them, because they don't really have two really good defensive players in that first unit. Bruce Brown's a pretty good defender. Benedict Mathurin, not so much at this point. So going to be interesting to see how they figure out how to try to defend a team that has two legit stars, because that's what you have to do in this league. I mean, everybody generally has two, and just two of them sat out for the Cavs. So they got to figure out how to do that. So we'll see how that goes. But good growth from them so far. 2-0 start helps. Get to go steal a win on the road from Cleveland. You'll take that. Obviously, this time of year, they all count one. So as many as they can pile up, towards the end as possible is obviously good for them.
Absolutely, and a great start, especially if they possibly go 3-0. But you can't don't count your chickens before they hatch. Ask Rick Pitino about that. You never know when the season's early. People still finding their sea legs, Captain Dan, as I like to say. But back home tonight, host the Bulls and see if they can keep rolling. And but we're at a great start. It's exactly with this young team. That's just if they can just build off of this confidence, because last year it was no expectations, and they're like, whoa, they're playing not bad. Now there's a little bit of expectation, but not too great. Hey, just go with it, ride it, and enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it should be a playoff team. I don't know that. I think generally the expectation would be this team should get to the postseason, and preferably get through the play-in round. I mean, I would think right now you would say, what's the expectation to how they finish? They're probably a play-in round team, but I think is something reasonable to shoot for is being a team that's in kind of the top half of the play-in round, be a 7-8 as opposed to a 9-10. When you're a 9-10, you go in there and it's one loss and you're out. If you're 7-8, you got to lose both to be out. So you just got to win 1 out of 2 and you get in. So I think they have a chance. I think that's where you would set the expectation right now. If they pull the 6, that's a big deal. That'd be a huge deal for this team to pull the 6 and get into a best of 7 playoff without having to play a play-in game. I think that's where they're at, where it makes sense for them to expect to fit in this league. I mean, obviously the Celtics and the Bucks are at a different level, and I do think even sort of the Clevelands, the Knicks, the 76ers, the Heat are among some teams, maybe even Atlanta, that are still a little bit above them in terms of just what they have, just how developed and how established they are. Again, having it makes a difference to just have 2 stars. I mean, the Pacers really have 1 star right now in Tyrese Halliburton. A couple other players that are not far from that, and Benedict Mathurin and Miles Turner and Buddy Hield and even Obi Toppin and Bruce Brown to some extent. But generally, you need 2 legit established all-stars to really, really win in the league, and they're not there yet. But they can get close. I think they can be there. And again, all of these wins count 1. It's not like college football or college basketball where at the end of the year it's like, well, you beat Cleveland, but you beat Cleveland without Donovan Mitchell. That's not like beating Cleveland. It still counts. Still counts 1. If they all take a rest night and you beat them, it still counts 1. So it's you want to get to, if this team gets to 42, somewhere in that range, goes over 500, then they'll be safe. And so any steps they take towards getting over 500 for the year is a big deal, and it's good for them. And they've got a really busy stretch coming up, but they got a lot of home games early, which I think is really helpful. And they've got a lot of winnable games early. They do get the Celtics later this week, and they get on the road, and they get Milwaukee next week. And those are gonna be tough to win. But in between there, it's the Bulls. They got Cleveland again, so you don't know if Cleveland's going to be healthy again on Friday. They got Charlotte. There's a team they should beat. Next week, they're looking at San Antonio and Utah before they get Milwaukee. These are winnable games. You get to see Wembanyama, but that's still a very beatable team. They got just pounded by LA last night. So there are a lot of possibilities to get victories for them getting started and get themselves in a good place when they hit more of the teeth of the schedule heading into the November, December. But yeah, good start. playing pretty well. Obviously, some holes, seeing the same issues as far as getting their sea legs as everybody else, but winning while doing it, and that goes a long way.
I see somebody on Twitter pointing out today is the only sports equinox, as they call it. There is an NFL game, a Major League Baseball game, 9 NHL hockey games, and 11 NBA games. It is just the 30th sports equinox ever.
Well, they're going to happen all the time now because the NBA season starts before the World Series ends, and I'm not okay with that. I have to admit here, I am missing.
Yes.
I think I got World Series game conflicts on I think 5 of the 7 if they play 7. I'm not happy about this.
It shouldn't happen. It's like yesterday, the Indiana basketball game scheduled at the same time as a very important Indiana soccer game. I'm like, couldn't move that a couple hours, really?
Yeah, no, really important. Should do that. Yeah, basketball should be like left alone. Like basketball should stand on its own always, like football does. I mean, nobody ever you practically can't schedule another sporting event at the same time as a college football game in town. So can't do it. Treat basketball the same way. What's that all about? I didn't even know that happened. So yeah, too much, guys. Space it out.